like the Dynamo paired with the McGinnis. But it looks like, Mitch, we're about to start.
That's it. So we'll catch up with ZP in just a moment, and here we go. $1,000 on the line. Our very first Deadlock Fight Night match in Europe between Buffer Enjoyers and Pojilya Skumbriya. And we're going to head out towards lane now as well. Plenty to talk about here. Knows the Infernus and Yamato taking up a solo lane, and Pocket and Shiv, a bit of a classic matchup there on the other extremity of the map.
I mean, I get the Yamato wanting to be into a solo lane. I was expecting maybe Mirage to be there just because he can be such a bully, but he can easily be a bully, especially when it comes to these duo lanes. And we do have the Kelvin and Geist paired together. In that lane, I don't think you're really ever going to get a kill unless you do it early, because they have so much sustain once Kelvin gets the 3 points or the second ability on his one, right? He gets the healing that he can do to his teammates, helping Geist, obviously, with the healthy spend using abilities. But the Shiv Pocket lane, I think what you're going to really focus on here, if Pocket is going to be able to land any of his barrages, that one off the bat, so he can amp up his damage and look for some early skirmishes. But the Warden, I mean, we were talking about it. We want to see how it's going to play out here in this lane. And of course, it will be with the Viscous up against the Kelvin Geist.
Yeah, I see the Viscous just trying to be a bit of a nuisance here from the high ground and knock those players out from cover. The Geist is going to be moved away a second time. That's pretty dirty stuff. Still, it's going to be Piggy actually finding Zinnia first. Wow, the Viscous was looking elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the zone denial of this could be insane. But yeah, he used a lot of his fists to knock away, but it didn't really matter in the end because Piggy was able to get aggressive. I mean, look at his health, right? He didn't take really any damage because the focus was going to be over on his teammate here. And I do love, as well, if you can see towards the top of the screen, we do have names actually next to the players, so we can actually see who's playing what and make this easier for us in the long run here. But already a good start. I mean, 1.1k for Piggy. That's going to get him a little bit ahead, closer to that ultimate, which of course makes his gank potentially even stronger.
The Arctic Beam there from Kelvin, just a general nuisance in lane. Dynamo, pretty powerful just based on the weapon that you can make use of, as well as having like a knock-up stun that you can chain into a heavy melee attack on his one ability, which is getting a lot of points invested into it right now. So bit of a lane bully, as you can see right there. Listic going to be knocked airborne and have to play from pretty low health.
Yeah, and one thing I think if you ever out there want to be a really good Dynamo player or a good player in general is you really need to pay attention to stamina use out of your enemies. With Dynamo, right, you get that knockup. If they have no stamina, they ain't going anywhere. You're going to be able to get a ton of damage down onto them. Obviously, the stamina you use to close that gap is extremely important as well. But you do have to be careful. Mikhail, that stun he has off his 3 can be extremely strong. The only downside is you're not really going to, I think, back it up too much with the Lash unless he wants to get Listic in a very specific position to get a knockdown. But looks like they're going to go to chase here onto Warden, forcing him back because he's just trying to buy up here. And again, you're seeing the presence, the health. Look how healthy Piggy and Dimov are at the moment. They are like 75% or higher. I mean, obviously, Piggy just took about 50% trying to get aggressive here. But this lane is just, it's not going to be bullied, and they're going to bully the hell out of you.
And that sustain tool on the second ability here for Lady Geist, that life drain, is something you're going to use fairly often. You can't do anything else while you're using it. Pardon me, there was the grenade thrown in there by the Kelvin. Zinnia struggling a little bit here early on in the game, as Buff Enjoyers look to be a little bit comfortable. Notice the regen items and Infuser already picked up here for Zergy. One of the most efficient spirit items that you can get at this tier of the game. Also with a very powerful active
as well. Would be extremely helpful for him. He's extremely low in health. The dive's going to come through. Together tries to go straight in for this one. Always use the flame dash to get away. Together trying to back away. He's not going to be cut out of position in terms of anyone ganking him, but he gets the kill nonetheless against Zergy. And that is a elimination, a kill that honestly Pojilya Skumbriya needed.
I mean, Yamato's pretty scary in that head-to-head as well. She can apply, you saw the Crimson Slash there. She applies a fire rate slow if she's able to hit that, that's even at level 1, for example. Listic now going to get pressured down a little bit, lashed away. See Mikhail wanting to push up. Already used the Carbine here, but plenty of damage after the fact here. And we'll see that quick TP away by the Kelvin to get them out, as Hideki was looking worse for wear.
And right now we're at 14k to 14k. I think we need to obviously keep an eye on how these lanes are playing out. So really quick, Sharik, he's on 2.6 in the leftmost solo lane. He's up against Sunset at 2.4, so not big of a difference there. But I do have to kind of take a step back here because we are approaching 3k souls for a lot of players here. Piggy's about to hit it. Tass is about to hit it on the Viscous. And that's where we're really going to see some fights go out, as Hardeki's going to be going down as well. It's looking pretty decent for Buff Enjoyers, but credit to PS, I'm going to call it for now, to keep that soul lead not too crazy at the moment.
You see a lot of pushing up here from Buff Enjoyers, right? Because those Guardians, those first tier towers, are worth the same amount of souls at any point in the game. So the earlier you get them, the more value you can derive from them at that early game when you're trying to get those items on the line. It's looking a little bit dangerous for Litz. Okay, Healing Aura trying to be used here. Good knock up on Listic, but again, a lot of use to slide to try and get away, but Buff Enjoys really extend for that elimination. Of course, the Guardian's already down. It's getting a little bit heavy over here as well towards that mid-left side lane. Backing away is the Kelvin here. Looks like Piggy's done enough.
That was the power of hitting 3K, getting the ultimate online. Mikhail gets the swap, most importantly as well, onto Litz, and they get a ton of damage down onto him because of that. And yeah, I mean, the lead's not really building up just yet. We're only 5 minutes in, but still the pressure is being applied by Buff Enjoyers. It's about like a decent line of scrimmage across the map at the moment. Pretty much both all lanes are about 50-50, but we are seeing the push come in yet again out of Buff Enjoyers here on this left duo lane as they're forcing him back. Like, they realize we have to give up the ground here.
Team Up going to be a nuisance here. I mean, Lady Gaius boasts the highest single shot damage in the game, so harassing in lane, especially with the sustain that she has inherently, very, very powerful. You can see together here really trying to fight for an early take of this Amber Guardian.
Oh, no. This is not good for Litz. Just to jump in really quickly, because we did see Mirage Hardeki come over to this solo lane to try to push this Guardian down, but at least Litz alone by himself is looking to dive on top of him here. The Guardian's still on 50% HP. Singularity! It's going to come out. It's going to hold him in place as Vistus comes in, the goo ball, looking for some damage. Listic might go down, but look at this. He's able to get away just around the corner.
Yeah, at best you could dissuade this this fight attempt here. Again, great mobility use, of course, from Taz now with Goo Ball available. Also, it's an ability that scales really well on Spirit Power. So keep that in mind. You do get hit pretty darn hard by it as the game goes on a little bit later. Now, of course, Taz going to return to this other lane as they found their Guardian getting pressured somewhat. And in general, Pojilya Skumbriya pushed back a little bit behind some of these towers. Great stun, of course. That is that one ability. Fire Scarab's also being thrown out here by Hardeki. Getting a little bit messy, but look up. That's what you want to look out for. The pocket here going to be throwing in that cloak, and Piggy will be eliminated.
The frozen shelter, though, was brilliant out of Piggy because it denied anyone from pushing in from this one when it was looking like a potential kill. Obviously, they did lose one in the end of that, but a really smart play, a really good usage. In the meantime, Buff Enjoyers, they realized since the gank came in on our left duo, we're going to push the right duo lane, get that Guardian down, and look for that first flex slot because there's only 2 more towers stopping them from picking this up.
Yeah, Sharik versus Sunset here. That obviously that far left lane is a curious one to keep an eye on. Timov don't know how they're going to extricate themselves from that situation, but the support of the Kelvin goes a heck of a long way, and they're asking for a little bit more. Now they can move up, of course, chase Hardeki down. With all the mobility that Mirage has, he couldn't quite escape. That is a pretty big blowout here, and a lot of also neutral cams starting to pop up around the map in the next couple of minutes will be hotly contested. Listy trying to take a fight there through the canals and forced out.
Yeah, I mean, that should have been honestly an expected gank coming in because they came from the right duo lane to the left duo lane and then just got elimination from that. In the meantime, what we are seeing is Together, who was not bowling his lane, but he was winning his lane up against Zergy with the Yamato up against Infernus. He has started to transition to other lanes. So it looks like they're really trying to focus on getting these flex slots. There's one left, though, in the right duo lane for Buff Enjoyers that they have to knock down before they can pick up that flex slot, which is going to be extremely important as they move forward. But what's scary is Zergy's being left alone in that right solo lane. He's farming his own jungle. He's missing no creeps in his lane as well, which means he's getting even more stacked and should ideally be allowed to propel him forward. As long as his team doesn't lose too much around the map, doesn't lose too many deaths, then he's eventually going to outpace Together in the way they're currently playing.
Yeah, again, we get some huge Infernus power spikes at about 3k souls. Toxic bullets being one of the nastiest things that you can sort of pick up for him. Again, a Spirit Lifesteal build means that it's pretty hard to kill Infernus once he applies his sort of ticking dots to a number of different enemies. You'll see that's why Zergy's able to take a lot of these bigger camps down with ease because he will get that health back as they burn.
And the slows that we do have, Buff Enjoyers, I mean, the stun you have out of 3 out of Michaelis on the Paradox, of course, with the Arctic Beam out of Piggy, should be really easy to hit those ultimates out of Paradox, which, I mean, Mikhail doesn't need the help, man. You see the streams, you know what he can pull off here. But it looks like, are we going to see a play? Yeah, we're about to hit the 10-minute mark soon, so we're going to have buffs spawning a bit at minute time. So you need to keep your eye on the mini-map as we get closer to that point, because those buffs are insanely strong at this point in the game. And we might have a skirmish in towards middle. Buff Enjoyers have extremely grouped up here, looking for a fight.
Yeah, again, those buffs a little bit less relevant later in the game. But the bonuses they can give to your gun damage or survivability or general mobility early in the game is something you really want to try and take fights around, especially if one of your more fed heroes is able to pick them up. We'll see here just drifting across the map. Again, Sharik heading back towards that solo side lane there on the left-hand side just to collect up some of that farm here. And Sunset does get spotted out getting towards those creep spawn locations on the Buff Enjoy side of the map.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hit a little bit of a stalemate here just until these buffs come up in about 10 seconds time. You can see Buff Enjoyers are set up the left-hand side to go for it. We need to have Shiv, played by Sharik, come over and help out once he does finish off his farm if they want to secure it. But it looks like Pojilya, Skumbriya will be able to secure the left one. And most likely the right one as well. So double buffs picked up for the team.
Okay, so what are you giving up?
A huge spike.
What are you gaining as a result of giving this up for buff enjoyers? It looks like they're content right now to try and farm relatively passively. Yeah. There's no upside out of this deal for them necessarily, outside of them just attending to their separate lanes for the time being. Sunset, the one there, with the gun buff, which is obviously pretty nice in terms of fire rate increases. Urn spawn here. So buff enjoyers may wanted to play for that here, and you can see Tasma's waiting for it now, trying to pressure Piggy down. Where is the help? Going to be throwing down that ultimate now, and again, that slow and also the healing being given over to the Kelvin makes it pretty hard to kill him inside of that one. Urn was dropped, recovered by Litz here, and he is headed underground.
Yeah, it was Rorschach moment there. You know, Tass was saying, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And we did see, you know, Piggy, he dropped the frozen shelter and did use the 2 to get away. Sorry, I don't know all the names just yet. There's a lot of abilities to remember, but it uses the 2 to get away. It gets the high ground as well to get away from the goo ball there. So smart play out of him, but it looks like the push might be coming in here on this right solo lane. He's looking to take down this Guardian. And I mean, they still have 3 left here for Pojilya, so they're still relatively safe to lose this one if they need be. But they're going to turn in the Urn at the same time here, which is massive for them.
Well, it looks like Pojilya like timing this up with a bit of an aggressive thrust from their Warden and Mirage players there. So forces buff enjoyers back. Previously, I think we've seen these like sort of passively farming in that lane, but here we go. A little bit more action here. Sharik in the middle of the fight. Cube now used, of course. It's going to give you that heal and invulnerability for a time, but it's still a fight to be had now. Eyes looking over towards Sharik here, but Pig is able to bring Sunset down. Eventually the Kelvin falls, so see a 1-for-1. Yamato and Visk is still very much in the mix here now, trying to deal with that Shiv and also some reinforcement coming in from the Geist from that balcony.
Yeah, and that was the Yamato ult going in as well. He's going to continue to push the pace here. Might look to back away in a second as Dimov on the Geist wasn't able to really help out too much. So Pojilya, they get both buffs, Mitch. They get the Urn turn in, and they get eliminations off the back of this, and they get even more potentially here if somehow he's able to pick this up for Litz, try to get some redemption off his laning phase. A pretty damn good start here. And yet the funny thing is, with buff enjoyers losing all of this, the souls are tied, and there is a singularity coming into the catch on a 1. That Infernus is dead. Zergi's going to fall again, unfortunately. This is looking pretty good. And considering it was a 1-0 the last time these two teams played 5 days ago, I'm kind of surprised to see Pojilya keep it this close. Not even this close. I would say they're technically winning right now. If we could actually see the ability points out of both teams, I think that would be really insightful to see like who really is strong, because the soul difference isn't too big of a deal. It's all about that AP, and we did see Litz run the Urn himself for that extra point. So I'm curious if he's going to be able to level into his heal to get it 5 right away, so he can still put out damage and heal.
Toxic Bullet's already here picked up, so that's that power spike for the Infernus now. Going to be a little bit more scary to try and face up against. Toxic Bullets is going to cause your bullets to build up a bleed, which stacks with the inherent one that Infernus has. A little bit sketchy here for Dimov, though. Finds himself in a 1 versus 2. Reinforcements on the way. There's Zergi getting involved with that power spike now. Toxic Bullets looking to make their mark. I think Zania going to give it a respectful berth here as the 3 players from Pojilya Skumbriya try and back out a little bit, but Sunset couldn't get away. The ticking damage, the bleed, and the burn combined brings the pocket down.
And here we go. They might look to actually push here onto more of these Guardians. Only going to be 1 left. As you can see, yet again, Zergi trying to get aggressive here. I respect the play. I respect the hustle. They still have that 1 Guardian to take down, though, to unlock that flex spot in the left dual lane. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see buff enjoyers look to actually group and push this down, and obviously let their solos or their hyper carries start to pick up some extra souls on the solo lanes. But I'm honestly, I don't know what you think, Mitch, but I expect this to be kind of one-sided for buff enjoyers. But I'm really happy to see that the competition in EU, which honestly doesn't have too many tournaments right now, they're mostly just NA tournaments, and EU teams have to play on NA ping. It's good to see that there's EU teams that can challenge, you know, the best, quote unquote, that we constantly see.
Yeah, I mean, again, we kind of set expectations here. This would be a little bit more one-sided in the pre-game, but so far, these two teams have been keeping it pretty close. Now, though, at least that sort of Guardian lead has been neutralized. Both teams have 1 more Guardian left to take down. We'll see, we're getting close to that 15-minute mark here, so buffs, of course, going to be relevant on that pretty regular cadence. Also, the Yamato altogether starting to get some of those crucial items. Torment Pulse just picked up, but again, it's just sort of pulses AoE damage around them, combined with the Cold Front, which is an active ability that slows everyone down. That Yamato really wants to be in the thick of a lot of these fights here, so definitely getting to a bit of a critical mass in terms of fight impact. But most of the skirmishes we've seen, Jason, have been a little detached in 2s and 3s across the map. Nothing fully nothing resembling a full commitment yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you want to lose out on the souls that your carries can pick up in those solo lanes, so you have to be very careful and very picky about how you take these fights. We are going to have the buffs come up here, and it looks like Buff Enjoyers will be able to take this one on the left-hand side, trying to get the casting. That's going to go over to the Shiv played by Sharik. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of expected, to be honest, with the way they're pushing things down, but it looks like they are going to push that left dual lane here to look for that last Guardian here in just a few seconds. And there's really not too much backup to see the Mirage, the Pocket to be heading over. I'm curious, though, is Piggy going to commit to taking this urn while a fight could potentially break down here in that left duo?
Buff Enjoyers are pushing up in that left side mid lane, right? So they are going to at least give a little bit of room for Piggy to move in back behind and try and pass this over. Do Pojilya Skumbriya try and take a fight? Yep, they absolutely do. Not ideal. A lot of that Jin's mark. Yeah, caught out onto Sharik. Would have slowed him down anyway, but he was held in midair, not able to do a darn thing about it.
So fast, man. Majestic leaps helping them get in as well. I think Sunset, you saw him use it to get in position. And of course, Tass on the goo ball is able to catch up as well. If they catch you out, I feel like they're just going to kill you with what they have available and the CC they have to deal with you. So Buff Enjoyers, I think they're looking for more maybe, or they have to be a little bit more careful of not getting caught out.
And again, it's some more of those important tier 3 items that are starting to be acquired by the carry heroes here. You notice now slowing Hex there on Piggy. So we're probably going to see a bit of a fight around this drop location here.
That's so BM out of Piggy, because you have the Arctic Beam to slow.
Yeah.
And then you have the Silent Glyph to slow as well. So he's pulling an exhibit. So we put some slow in your slow so you can slow while you're slowing. I guess that's pretty much what we're happening. But we're going to have a battle over towards the urn turn-in. So you see Shiv, right? He's in the left dual lane. He's farming 2 lanes right now, plus jungle the best he possibly can to really get going. He's at 14k souls. And you can see Buff Enjoyers, they're wanting to go for the turn-in, but they know Pojilya, Skumbriya have a lot of players on this this right-hand side of the map. So they have to be very careful. They're kind of baiting them in, and it's allowing Sharik and Listic to push here on this left-hand side for the Walker.
I mean, this is huge. Getting this Walker damage healed before Pojilya Skumbriya really able to respond here. They were kind of dragged into the position of that urn drop location. This is very good damage either way. Hardaki caught out. They're going to be swapped into the back line. Maybe a bit of overkill as the KLS will be able to finish the job now. Sunset under some pressure. Forced to back off. Going to be caught inside a Kelvin ultimate. Not a whole lot you can do about it here. Sharik eventually does fall. Sunset, though, will be traded out. Look at the pressure, though, from the Infernals in that far left solo lane. Really starting to gun down that Walker.
Yeah, I think Listic might be going down here. Yeah, Sharik as well, since they got caught out trying to push that left duo lane up to the Walker. It should be, like you mentioned, Zergy getting this Walker down. He should be able to get
the urn, too.
Wow. So this is actually a big pickup. They get 1 Walker. They get in the urn. They lost maybe 3 people here. I'm assuming he's going to go down from this.
I mean, again, you have Spirit Life still, but just not nearly enough. Again, Together is one of the players on Pojilya Skumbriya that has a lot of those souls sort of funneled into them. They are going to get scarier and scarier as the game goes. And Inferno still wants to get a couple more, I think, under his belt item-wise.
I'm wondering if we can, again, quickly see the ability points out of both teams, because we only have a 1k soul difference. Just a little tab hit in there will show us where the points really matter. And obviously, when you get to those 5 skill point abilities where things get extremely deadly, you can see that Geist here has, or Dimov has his 2 all the way leveled up. You can see Sharik has his 1 all the way leveled up right now, working on his 2 next, the dash. So he did go for the knife build, not the dash build, which is where you look for full rage bar, the double dash that comes out, or the second hit of your dash, and then you get the resets over and over. But again, I don't really think they're going to be looking for any big fights like that necessarily. And we are going to be seeing Hardeki go towards the left solo lane here with the teleporter. To maybe
might just be trying to farm. Yeah. Look, and I think that Walker getting picked up there by Zergy is important, because that flex slot really needed actually for a number of people on Buff Enjoyers. Improved Spirit Armor just got picked up by Sharik there on that Shiv. So going to be pretty important in terms of an item that actually gives you Spirit Resist, which there aren't that many in the game, and very important looking at the opposition composition. A little tech is there. Do love the wall jump into sort of charged melee. You do need to aim above the edge of the ledge, otherwise you'll mantle it and you kind of like make it pointless. So yeah, it's a great way to sort of climb. As we've
yeah, the heavy melee, it maintains your vertical height, so it allows you to pull off stuff like this while saving your stamina as well. And I like how they're using Litz here, right? They're putting them on the high ground to gain information.
Jason,
Reverse refresher.
That is a refresher.
So for you guys who don't know, with Yamato and the refresher, the whole point of this is to obviously refresh your ultimate, but it gives you the extended survivability in fights. So they can't kill you during your ultimate. So you hit refresher, you pop it again. They still can't kill you during your ultimate. And you're baiting in a lot of focus onto you initially, but then you're also allowing yourself to put out so much more damage in the middle of the fight. A lot more one hits, which do insane damage, especially if you're spirit built.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is it's extremely potent weapon, and because of just how frightening Yamato is during that ultimate, being able to obviously get that a second time is really quite desirable. You can get a healing beam here for the Kelvin. That's that tier 3 picked up. It's not going to help them here as they're being pressured down. The rescue beam, rather. This is what Yamato can do to you. A lot of damage down on obviously a hero that's quite tanky. Yeah, you got a Falcon Punch that dude. Grenade thrown to the ground there. That's for the healing, but yeah, the charge slash is going to finish the job. That's obviously where much of the damage from that spirit scaling originates from.
I respect it though, because he bought so much time for them to push in the right solo lane. You see guys, you see Infernus, Zerg, and Demov pushing up here to looking to get this Walker. They still have 3 more to go in total before they get that second flex spot unlocked, but you're going to see it happen eventually here as we just see the push come in and Litz, they get caught out.
Yeah, they're going for it. You see the Pocket being more than happy to push up here. Barrage used to get them on the engagement. And now they're just here to chase things down. This is not great for Buff and Joy. He's losing 3 players in the middle part of the map here. Just as they had good global control, it's mid boss, 100%. Getting kills in mid, multiple of them, it's an easy mid boss pickup.
Mid boss, and he's going to go for the earn turn in. So this is going to be a massive uptick for Pojilya, Skumbriya. I don't think there's any real chance they're going to be able to stop this one and see the mid boss go down. They're just going to have to live with it. Try to get as much farm as you possibly can and just try to keep them at arm's length, prevent them from like running you down and taking a lot. They have 4 walkers to defend to prevent any flex slots going the way of Pojilya. It's going to be tough, but it is still very possible. I mean, they have all ultimates online and they're not too far behind in souls. So you have to kind of look at the distribution of where the souls are. Like Piggy, who's playing support, he's at 15k. So he's a little bit behind to his like counterpart of Litz at the moment at 17k. And their big soul lead at the moment is with Zergi on the Infernus. It comes down to him in these fights to really obviously put the damage down, right?
Well, what's important as well, the Rejuvenator obviously gives you that fast respawn, but it buffs your minions. Crucially, it makes them quite powerful. Does mean that you can push out these lanes a little bit more easy, take that map control, manufacture some more of those pick opportunities. So we'll see that become relevant, and especially in this part of the game, where the macro play is very, very important. You see the flex slot there being used to pick up point blank. So Headhunter and point blank being picked up here. So real focus on the weapon damage. And again, point blank, when you're up close, as well, Mirage often is, you can get that slow off each of those shots, which is an absolute pain to deal with. 25% slow.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in the thick of things, right? He wants to hit that tornado. He wants to knock you up and prevent you from doing anything and catch you out. I mean, you have him and you have Viscous and you have Dynamo. Even technically Xenia on the Warden, who can help facilitate some eliminations, some picks, which is what we're seeing. Like, they're able to close the gap on them quite quickly and then turn that into a kill. And we are seeing a push on this right-hand side while we're seeing Zergi left alone on the solo left lane here to look for a push. And Michaela's able to get the initial kill on the Sunset. The Dynamo hitting nothing.
Yeah, nothing with the singularities. Taking so much damage. Litz as well coming out of that now. A lot of pressure coming onto the Listic Lash here. He does have Curse available though, so can just throw that at the Viscous. Amazing just to shut down one individual. Probably wasn't intending to have to use it in this fight against a Viscous, but here we are. Piggy gonna fall now. This is a 1-for-2 exchange favoring Buff and Joy. So after a bit of a lull and behind by Insol a little bit, they're starting to take back the map. You can see these lanes are pushed deep into Amber territory.
Oh, Zergi, he wants to go for it. I think Buff and Joy's gonna look for a fight on this right-hand side. They know they had some eliminations here. Task just gonna block up here and try to waste some time. As you do see Michaelis, I like how he actually goes ahead of him, right? Denies any sort of exit, also prevents any backup to guarantee that elimination onto Task. But Pocket mentioned in the meantime, Sunset, he's pushed the left-hand side, he gets a Walker. And that is actually pretty damn nice for him, considering he mirrors their Walker that they lost on the left-hand side as well when it comes to like map information and seeing where people are.
And again, these flex slots remain really important now as some of these players' builds are getting filled out. You can sell some of those early items that you don't need, but there are some items that are 1250 souls are still really relevant. Some of them scale later into the game. Good example is that Decay active that applies a bleed over time here, but we've got a couple players with Curse picked up, so a lot of emphasis on shutting down important individuals here as that active basically just interrupts silence and disarms them. They also can't use items, so basically turns them off for a time.
Yeah, and also it can be insanely good considering Pojilya is trying to run some sort of pick composition, right? If Sunset goes in, you curse him, And then guess what? He cannot use his 2 to get away. He cannot get inside of his briefcase. It allows him to be easily picked up. Also for Litz in particular, if Litz is going to jump into the middle of a fight, which I'm checking really quick, he does not have. He actually does have refreshers, so he ended up going that route. Then you prevent him from getting a singularity off, and he's just a free kill for your team. So very smart pickup by Piggy here, playing the true support role that they need.
Yeah, and Rescue Beam is very, very powerful in this game. A bunch of refreshers on the Pojilya side. So we actually are looking at a refresher, Dynamo, excuse me. So look out for that. The double singularity play is going to be terrifying, and Warpstone is going to allow that blink forward that ensures that Dynamo can get as much purchase and much capture within that singularity as possible. This team really wants to go for a hard all-in team fight.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have 2 curses with Listic and Mikhail S, who can stop any sort of big engagement if you do have Litz go in. And we are going to see the Rescue Beam used to get Zergy away. Fantastic use out of Piggy here. Is looking for the roll down. A Walker's going to go down on the right solo lane. It's only 2 left to go. So they're fighting 5v6 for Pojilya. Buff Enjoyers, they want to pull off a fight here, knowing they have the man advantage, and they have to do it quickly, or this Warden can continue to barrel down this right-hand lane. The Singularity goes in and gets interrupted.
Yeah, this is bad though, because there's another one available too if you want it. I think the Curse probably stopped that one on its tracks. Here comes the Frozen Shelter though. This is a little bit of a scary prospect for Pojilya's Skumbriya now, and the healing being given over to allies of the Kelvin in that means that you have such an outsized advantage in the team fight. Sunset and Taz get absolutely rolled. Zania also gets caught out there, and this might be an inflection point in this later game now as Buff Enjoyers win a very handy 4-for-0 exchange.
This is the biggest lead we've seen so far, like 4K of souls for Buff Enjoyers. Also, credit to Piggy, man. Like, his awareness in these fights is insane. He uses the Frozen Shelter to keep Zergy alive because Zergy dropped extremely low in HP. They were the only 2 inside of that. He used that for time to regen for Zergy to get his cooldowns back up, and they're knocking on the base Guardians now, looking to push in towards potentially a Shrine. I'm not sure if they want to go for it. Litz is up in 3 seconds. Instead, they're just going to back away. Only 1 Walker left to go, and we don't have buffs coming up just yet, so looking to deny any jungle left as they do leave the opponent's side of the map. Or are they actually push onto the right dual lane to go for the last Walker and force another team fight?
There's just not a lot for Pojilya to Skumbriya to farm off the map right now. Buff Enjoy's really snowballing the advantage from winning such a strong fight. Now, of course, they'll move in and take these buffs themselves. Looks like mid-boss, by the sounds of things, was up at 28 minutes or so, as Piggy had timed in the chat. So right now, Buff Enjoy is starting to build again to some of those even bigger items, those tier 4s now. Is again, once we get to 30 minutes, I mean, 1 hero kill is worth 1,000 souls. That scales up pretty actively over the course of the game. We have ourselves a little bit of a pause here. Great chance again to bring up the items. We can talk about what we're seeing.
And Mitch, what's really also important about that like change up there was they had what 3-4K soul lead after they like won those fights. They're now up to a 20K soul lead because on the way out, they took as many possible jungle camps they could. They took out all the walkers as well, so they get the extra flex slot. This is a massive swing in favor of Buff Enjoyers, and I feel like that's what makes them such a good team, is that I feel like they're used to playing from behind. When you play on NA, you're playing with a ping disadvantage. You're going to have to be in the mindset of like, okay, if we're behind, how do we get back into the game? They weren't really that far behind, but when they do get that little bit of drop of blood in the water, they attack like sharks. They know exactly what to do to lengthen the lead they possibly can. 20K souls at this point in the game is pretty massive, as we are starting to see some major discrepancies in these soul leads between the laners. But we do have the game starting back up here, and Buff Enjoyers, even though they lost mid-boss before, they're going to barrel down here and make something happen.
Yeah, Mikhail S also picking up some more healing-based items. Healbane, also Fortitude, taken by them. You can see the amount of actives you have to work with as a support player in this game. Health Nova, Slowing Hex. We've also got the Rescue Beam, Fleet Foot, everything that basically Kelvin needs to be a utility dispenser for the rest of Buff Enjoyers. And alongside that Frozen Shelter, you can have such an unreal impact on these team fights, which is what Pojilya Skumbriya are looking for. God, guys, you've got to do something about that name. But again, they want to pile in here. Buff Enjoyers have shown that they're more than happy to fight a pitched battle 6v6.
It's just so tough, I think, for Litz to pull off a very successful ultimate with 2 curses on the enemy team. He almost has to come in from a completely different angle, but he went for refresher, so he's not going to get the majestic leap. He can't really surprise them, which makes it very difficult to deal with. Obviously, he does have the 2 ultimates, which could be quite helpful, but I don't know. Like, it's going to be so tough for an experienced team like Buff Enjoyers to know where he's coming from if he doesn't have any sort of surprise factor.
See the items there, and worth bearing in mind that for Warden that we just saw, his fire rate actually increases based on spirits. So there's a little bit of scaling there just into his kit inherently, and he had bought in crippling headshots. So Reducing bullet and spirit resist is really important when, you know, those are the items that are being prioritized at this stage of the game. Being able to shred that off your opponents, make them more susceptible to the rest of your team as well, makes you a bit more of an effective bruiser / off support. But again, we're ahead by 20k souls here. That is a heck of a lot. And I just want to point out the magic carpet picked up by Taz. So we are all in on this hypermobile, what do you call it? Flying booger build.
Flying booger. It's here to play. I don't know. I saw it on Reddit and I liked it. It's very descriptive and very good.
I'm here for it. Also, like Mystic Rebirth picked up for Together. You'll also notice that on the Lash of Listic. So being able to pulse like a slow around you. Again, more abilities that want you to be very much in the middle of the fight. Also want to point out like Zergy's pickup. He actually grabbed an inhibitor and he grabbed Ricochet. So would ideally, maybe like to fight in closer quarters or just have them bounce on enemies around, just spread that influence around a wider area than just individuals here. So he's also looking for some utility to help his sort of, the purchase of shots that he gets.
Well, the inhibitor I like because it gives him a little bit of extra HP and gives him the ability to like dip into a fight and dip out of a fight because he's going to get an insane amount of regen while waiting. Yeah. But also,
it's a vitality item, Jason, that gives you extra weapon damage as well, which is a little rare.
It's going to be really good for survivability considering that he knows that he's going to potentially be picked off like we saw before, right? Oh my God, Piggy, you are Ferrari, sir. Oh my God, moving so fast. I mean, they're just waiting for buffs. They are going to spawn up here and looking for a fight on the left-hand side. Pojilya is looking for something here. Risen, they lost the buff. They need to make something happen. The goo ball does go in.
Team on pressure here.
Coming soon.
You gotta be careful of the low health guys, though. She'll health swap you. She did it there, maybe a little prematurely. So Dimob's still gonna get brought down. This is far too much being parted into that one area. Together taken down, though. You heard that concussive combustion used by Infernus, the AoE stun if you get a little bit too close to him now. Death Slam also being used in that fight now, and Listic's able to catch Sunset and turn him into an absolute pancake. Frozen Shelter just after the singularity in this fight here. Buff Enjoyers are so tooled to win these kinds of fights. And Taz was lucky to get out alive. He had to take the TP, but Buff Enjoyers steamrolled and look for a mid-boss take.
Bro, that was a fight that they got kind of caught off guard, right? They took the bus and a fight commenced immediately after Demob gets caught out. And they had to have two players rotate from the right-hand side of the map to get here to help them out. And yet they survived long enough with the help of Piggy, with his Frozen Shelter, the Healing Nova, everything that you've mentioned before, all the actives he possibly has, and it allows them to just sustain long enough for the reinforcements to get here. Going to leave one back. That's going to be Sharik, also known as going to be picking up the Rejuvenator, while the team does push in on this left-hand side, looking for an elimination, looking for a kill on the Task, who's extremely low on HP. And they're gonna do a soul turn in. Like the lead they just got from this is ridiculous.
Yeah, look, it feels like a big soul lead, and it is pretty reasonable now. But Pojilya Skumbriya can still hit you pretty hard, but now they're being forced back inside their base. These are shrines falling, by the way, with only Together able to respawn and get back onto the map. So you might see Buff Enjoys even get some first stage patron damage and then look to fall back.
Well, Pojilya, they're kind of desync, right? You do have Task dead for 46 seconds. So Pojilya had to be very careful to not get an engagement where they lose more players, continue to be more desynced, or Buff Enjoyers are going to close this game out.
Oh, they're staying. Carbine here loaded up now. Look at 9k souls.
Oh!
Going to have to be pulled out. Nice singularity, but again, the rescue beam is going to be able to save the Paradox here. A lot of mess here. Death Slam being thrown down now immediately by Listic. Buff Enjoys basically full build at this point, and yeah, nothing that Sunset can really do about it. Pocket when he's caught just a little too squishy. He wants to be the one that starts the fight on his own terms, and now, of course, a weakened patron means that Buff Enjoys can essentially finish the game.
Yeah, they're going to close it out here. A fantastic turnaround as well, with a big lead being built up, even losing mid-boss first. They
Getting into our second game of Buff Enjoys versus Pojilya Skumbriya. And now, of course, they're going to be on the blue side. The Sapphire side, Ember side is your Buff Enjoys, this time with Abrams in tow, Jason.
Well, you know what, Uber, you can't be the esports caster of the year if you can't fit in that name into a rap god moment. I'm just saying. But we are seeing, okay, so the Abrams going to be coming up against the Pocket on the left solo. We have the Wraith up against Yamato on the right solo. And then we're seeing the Paradox and the Geist. So, actually, wait. Okay, sorry. I thought we had, for some reason, a gank already happened on the right duo. But no, so we're going to see pretty standard here, play off the bat. We did see Buff Enjoyers really dominate the left duo lane in the last match. And we already do have an elimination coming in. Abrams, Listic, able to take down Together on the Pocket. That's not a good sign. You do not want to fall behind in Abrams.
That is so early as well. And it may have been off of like a shoulder charge connection. It gives you just such a huge advantage in that fight. But in general, like, Pocket needs to get that damage amp off of the barrage. Otherwise, he doesn't really want to be fighting. Again, he wants to fight on his own terms. So That's not good. Not a great sign, losing out in that engagement. Of course, he's already going to be back in lane here, but is already falling behind drastically in souls.
Yeah, you saw Listic try to push the lane extremely quickly, right? To deny some of these minions up against the tower. He's going to go back and buy. He's going to pick up, obviously, one of these 500 items. I wonder, though, if he's going to be able to continue this pressure onto Together, because if he does, well, that's going to be a tough time. And I believe
What?
Hardeki go down.
Sorry, I mean, that is ridiculous. Just the Essence Bomb spam from the Geist in that lane, plus the damage from KLS. This is a much rougher start for Pojilya Skumbriya than we saw on that previous map. Look at the far left solo lane. You can see Listic shoving that in with a 600 soul lead, which this part of the game is definitely significant. Took a lot of damage there. Finally, I see we get some life from Together here, and well, it will be 1-for-1 in that solo lane.
Again, a little bit too cocky there. Unfortunately, Together, a good pullback for them that he honestly desperately needed too. He's going to pick up 2 500 items here off the back of that one. I do kind of worry, though, for the dual lanes, how things are going to play out here with the early elimination onto Hardeki. And I believe Sunset was playing the Pocket last game. Now he's playing the Mirage. And Together was playing the Yamato last game, but he's on the Pocket, and Task is going to be on the Yamato. Yep. So I wonder if he's going to have the same impact that Together had in that matchup up against Zergy.
Yeah, or at least Together was looking pretty healthy soul-wise. I mean, they were like, that Yamato was one of the most frightening prospects.
He was the strongest lane, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Kind of talked about that, Wraith needs a little bit of time to get going, to sort of build up. Doing okay in farm, but definitely behind a little bit here. All going to get thrown up. You see, heading over to that right side lane here.
Oh, Together. So even with the early elimination, Mitch, Listic's still being forced back now. Together's getting free reign over this lane, which make it extremely hard for him to get back into this one, for Listic in particular. So I like the little bounce back. When I play solo lanes, I get so tilted, which is why I don't like playing solo lanes. And when I die once, it's really important here for Listic to really not fall too far behind, but more importantly, not really give Together any more of a lead that he's going to have.
Yeah, right now, Together has the free reign in that lane. Also has caught up comfortably on Listic's soul total in general. Shoulder charge, no connect, actually used for the escape here, but there's no way you're getting away. Now Together is starting to get the engagements that they're looking for. His barrage connections here make it very, very hard for Abrams to stand up against that pocket.
Yeah, the damage amp is just insane, and Together's going to have ultimate too, so I wonder if he's going to show some signs into the other lanes. We can see Michaelis has already started to rotate over towards that left-hand solo lane. He doesn't quite have ultimate just yet, but he still might look for the catch either way.
That's the first ultimate online. That's the Affliction of Together, getting to that 3k soul threshold. Michaelis here trying to intervene on this far side lane here. Maybe even initiating a swap. We'll see. They're trying to get that pocket out of the way now that they've hit 3k. Nice slam there for Xenia. Finally, Dimov actually getting something done in this lane after that early kill that Buff and Joyous took.
Yeah, Pojilya, this is smart. They saw that Michaelis left, and they're like, all right, let's go for the fight. We know we have this easy onto Dimov here. So a good little take to pull things back. 3k lead. In the last game, it was pretty damn even for a majority of the game. I think the biggest lead we saw was like 3-4k, but that was like after a mid boss and after a one team fight. So a really strong start. But again, for me, it's all about how is Together going to take the advantage he's been able to build up in his lane and help snowball his team into a victory. And it's going to be tough because him ganking onto that left dual lane, I mean, it should be doable, but I'm just curious on what route he's going to be able to pull it off. And is he still going to be able to deny Listic some farm here? I mean, he has his guard to go back to, and Listic doesn't.
Listic just a couple of creeps away from ult. Managed to pick it up here. It's getting a little bit messy now. Together going to pop the Affliction, but going to get Seismic slammed on. Tries to use the Enchanter Satchel to avoid the impact damage of the Abrams. And Listic might have to opt out of this fight. Together, though, still wants to take it. They're both low. One shot in the chamber for this Abrams, but that Affliction is going to work them down to 1 HP. They're trying to find the elimination, but Together comes out of nowhere. That is beautifully played. Lovely little pocket tech there, and the emergence from the suitcase to get the kill.
I mean, he just had to wait. He had to buy time for the Affliction to really pick down some damage. You can see Dimov going extremely deep here, trying to pick up an elimination, but he's actually going to be picked off himself as he does get Hardeki for his trouble. He pops the ult. He swaps the health, and now Lash is low.
Oh, Michaelis turns up now. That's going to be too much for Xenia to deal with. Again, the Lady Geist Dimov turning that fight on its head, and that's Buff and Joy is a little bit later to get in those ultimates. This could be a little bit problematic. We see some pressure down on this turret, but Together going to get swapped out of the way, forced to try and jump back to safety, and actually picked up Michaelis. This could be a 2v1 here, and yes, with now some help at least coming, Hardeki just in the nick of time. And I have a feeling that the Pocket might have had that 1v2 themselves.
If he's on 5k, he probably could have pulled that off. And in the meantime, they do go for a 2-man push on the right-hand solo lane to pick up another Guardian here. Sorry, yeah, another Guardian here as they're able to get one on the left solo lane. So that's already going to be 2 off the bat. Actually, 3 off the bat now.
3 to 1.
Looking for one more to get that flex slot unlocked here. And this is, again, Pojilya, Skumbriya have shown in 2 back-to-back games they have a very decent start of the game here, even if they do lose people early on.
We're seeing that just dueling prowess there, I think, of the Mirage as gets taken down. There was a little bit of help there for them, in fairness, but again, that Jin's mark with multiple fire scarers being thrown gives you a little bit of an outsized advantage in that fight. Okay, heavy barrage being popped up close here by Piggy. Comes a little bit late, I might say. We're going to throw it on the other side of the Veil here to try and get a little bit more damage down, but it doesn't really amount to much in the grand scheme of things now. 5k sole lead for Pojilya Skumbriya.
Yeah, 2v2 fight on the left solo lane. And Listic, unfortunately, going to be going down here as we did see Sunset show up here on the Mirage. Mikhail should be fine. Just going to back off here. It's a good presence. I feel like both teams have shown really good insight into like knowing where to rotate and when. Like we saw Listic, he joined into the left duo lane to pick up a nice kill. And then we see obviously the turnaround out of Pojilya. So pretty strong start here. I mean, it's still going to be a 5k lead in favor of Pojilya, though I feel like the eliminations haven't necessarily been going their way. Can we actually get a check-in with that? Maybe the AP as well to see how the eliminations have gone between both these teams.
While we wait for that one, we get to see Piggy doing a little bit of safe farming here in that far lane. And I guess...
Yeah, 13 to 5, man. Look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of wild as well to see like the soul lead maybe be as restrained as it is. I mean, 4k at this stage of the game means a bit more than later. Also, the haze. Like, how's the haze ticking along? 6k on Zergy here. That's someone we haven't seen a lot of as they've not been looking to take fights. You can see there's been no kill involvement whatsoever from TAS on that Yamato. Here's the kinetic carbine. So we have Michaelis looking for something. Maybe free damage, maybe a pick. Ends up just firing it off into some of these minions.
Yeah, he's looking for the nice 3 into the swap as well to be able to pull off someone. Again, 2-man squad push in the left hand. Nice little use of the wall here to confirm this Guardian. So that pretty much puts things into a 2 versus 3 in terms of Guardians being killed so far. But the big push is going to be coming in. Problem is, those turrets can be such a nuisance. They give you so much information in a game that doesn't have wards. Turrets can be almost just as good, right? To give you that info of where people are going to be coming from. Because the minions give you a lot of sight. I mean,
minions are moving wards.
Yeah.
In this game, for all intents and purposes. So that's another reason why you want to have lanes pushing up away from you. It's a ton of info. Okay, let's look for something here. Trying to get the catch on towards Zania. We brought in, but a Divine Barrier going to be used straight away for some of those extra combat stats. The Bullet and Spirit Shield goes a long way. Death Slam, they're going to be a problem. 2 players caught up inside of it. Listic and Mikhail now have to deal with this lash here. Wall thrown up. And here comes that yet another wall. This is, of course, the McGinnis getting involved. Piggy's here for the fight. Hideki eventually has to succumb. Zania, though, still looking pretty scary. At least makes it a 1-for-1 trade there. And the duo on that far left solo lane are taken out. Can Buff and Joys convert this into anything more?
Oh, unfortunately, on the left solo, there's really nothing to take for them, unfortunately. But one thing I really have to give them credit on is they're so good at knowing like when to rotate to look for these kills. Pojilya, you saw like they had players around the map here, but Buff and Joys knew to rotate over the McGinnis play by Piggy to be able to solidify these kills. So really smart play to them. I feel like the macro play out of Buff and Joys is almost unmatched when it comes to EU. Yeah. Maybe even NA, though I think Hydronation might have something to say about it later.
I mean, Together already has, as an aside, that Majestic Leap. So that's obviously the first tier 3 item they're trying to pick up, which really cranks up their mobility. Also gives them a little bit of defensive stats, some spirit. Okay, wall going to be thrown up. McGinnis didn't want the fight, but, well, you don't really have a choice. Nice little airdrop used there, and it looks like Pojilya Skumbriya really want to take this fight. Piggy not ready for that level of aggression. Nice little double control key tech. The fast drop there allows Together to get over that wall. McGinnis with egg on their face right now. Here comes Sunset, though. And you're trying to ward away, I think, some of these would-be interlopers from Buff and Joyers. Yeah,
that Majestic Leap out Together, perfect. You just kind of can get... He can be into a fight when you don't expect it. Pops off the Affliction as well as they go for the chase down here. In the meantime, Solar's going to be picked up. I wonder how Buff and Joyers are going to respond to this, because we can remember from the last match, as a nice shoulder charge comes in.
Soul Siphon here. I don't think anyone's really trying to take a fight against the Abrams right now, but Zania elsewhere ends up getting caught out. Listic doesn't want to overextend here now. Getting caught up in this freeze. Also, Kelvin ultimate to lock them in place. Dimov going down. So a 1-for-1 trade in this fight now, and they're looking to chase a little bit more. Once more, Buff and Joyers may have to give some ground. Very deeply extended was Sharik there. He was deep in that fight. Together would have been a scary prospect, but he got caught out in the open. Ends up being a 2 for 2. We'll of course see the lash coming off respawn now for Pojilya Skumbriya.
Yeah, rescue beam used by Piggy as well to make sure Listic does not go down up against together in the 1v1.
Even in souls.
Yeah, and I think that's like the power of Buffingers. As I was saying before, right? They're used to playing on NA. We do have a fight in the meantime down the left-hand side with the Solar currently in the hands of Hardeki. But Buffingers playing on NA constantly, playing with worse ping. I feel like it makes them kind of a stronger team overall when they finally
like
get to play on home turf. Exactly, right?
Yeah. I mess with it. That's fine. Okay, we'll see. Some of the Sinner sacrifices farmed up here. Just some of these neutral and inanimate. Otherwise, Candace being picked up by both sides. Now, again, we've got 2 Guardians still standing for Pojilya Skumbriya. 1 for Buff Enjoyers. But all else being equal, this is definitely a pretty pitched battle at this point. 12-minute mark comes up.
You can see the Urn looking for a turn on the right-hand side. And Buffingers aren't really looking for a contest on this. Yeah, they're really not trying to do much about it. If you remember, in the last game, Buffingers, they took the Solar Urn and baited Pojilya. You're so much better at this than me. On the right-hand side, so they can actually go for pushes on other spots on the map. But the turn-in will come through. The lead's still going to be 3K here. We do have a Wraith ultimate going to go in looking for a kill.
All right, see straight away. Kelvin trying to get above that fight here. TP comes too late for Zerky. Again, Dan talks about at the start of the game. Takes a while for that Wraith to really get going. Xenia able to find a double kill together, is brought down. Alistic a little bit late to the party, is at least able to intervene. And Buffingers is obviously in a position to start to threaten this Walker now.
Well, it's going to be a trade, right? Because we do see Walkers being pushed on both sides here. Michaela's trying to go against Hardeki in the 1v1. Paradox for Shiv, and Paradox wins. So he shuts down the Walker push on the right solo lane. In the meantime, we still see Sunset pushing the left Walker in the left solo lane. And we see Buffingers going for a push on the right duo, looking for a Walker themselves.
Yeah, again, so crucial to make sure you pull that player through the time wall when you swap them, because you get 10% of their max health stripped off when they pass through it. Very, very powerful. Also, the wall gets even better later on in the game, but it's just a huge part of the combo there to make sure you can win out basically against anyone. And our Buffingers are grouping out towards that right side solo lane here. Might be making a play here over towards this Guardian.
Last Guardian, yeah.
And that's cleared off.
That's the flex slot unlocked for them, where unfortunately Pojilya don't have one unlocked just yet, because we still have 1 Guardian left up for themselves. That fight breaking on the right-hand side, but this is not a good fight for Buffingers, considering they only have 3-4 players here.
They're grouped up. They can actually make something happen here. The issue is, Piggy getting caught up by the Yamato now, and oh goodness, yeah. That slowing aura popped by the Yamato. I mean, there was no escape for the McGinnis. They're getting exploited so far in this game. Sharik goes down there, and Mikhail just cannot do anything in the 1 versus 4. Pojilya Skumbriya just winning out in all of these exchanges, and again, have themselves a sole lead to work with.
I think that's one thing that obviously helps Yamato quite a bit for its fight, is the fact that you can go in with your 2 into the middle of a team. You can pop your cold front, slow the entire team, which allows the rest of your team to catch up and allows you to just chase down and walk all over them. We are going to see the last Guardian go down. We're going to see some Walkers being pushed in the meantime here as well. You got to be careful here. Piggy's the last one up, as he will get the wall off to deny some time.
It's going to go down either way. I think you can just get Majestic leap up above that. Okay, Sharik actually pops the last stand there. Was hoping to get a fight, but Buffingers didn't really seem to have the mechanism to force Pojilya Skumbriya to fight them. So both teams have actually managed to take 2 Walkers now. Still an 8k sole lead for Pojilya Skumbriya.
I wonder, I know ZP's watching this right now, and he's thinking to himself, is Majestic Leap going to be picked up by Warden? Which ZP said he coined himself. He's one of the first ones to do it. It makes Warden's ultimate so impactful, because you're just never going to see him coming. You obviously have that charge time to be able to use the ultimate. And buffs, well, they did just come up. Looks like Buff and George is going to secure the one on the left, and it looks like Pojilya going to be able to secure it on the right-hand side.
Yeah, with the Urn, that right-hand side might be where you want to be there. Yamato's Shadow Transformation going to be used here. Together, just blown to smithereens. Task could not be a factor. They're actually fighting a retreat here. And this might pave the way for Buff and Joyce to get some good pressure now down on this right side Walker. But they might just value the Urn a little higher with the map control they've gotten on that left side duo lane. Looks like they'll maybe use that as a staging ground to get this in.
I think they should be able to. You can see no one really positioned to stop this, but obviously Michaelis is taking his time to get there. Taking a look at the pocket, though, obviously had a very strong laning phase, even though he did go down first up against Listic on the Abrams. But obviously Curse, it's a lot of money to buy, right? 6,200 souls to be able to pick up here. So I wonder, can Together still have impact later into this match if it continues to drag out? Because we know Curse is going to be picked up to shut him down.
Again, it's about starting the fight on your own terms. Pocket's still relevant. If you can just emerge from your satchel in the middle of a fight, you got like your good damage amp on the enemy team, you're in good shape. Zergy falls yet again. So that Wraith still building towards, you know, a point in soul total where they can be impactful. Also, they're just not going to do anything solo in that fight. They can teleport away, but that's really about it. Here's the swap though. This is going to serve Sunset up, and a beautiful shoulder charge connection here makes it awful scary for this Mirage. And the Soul Siphon going to slurp Sunset away. And will fall. Also, Walker in the meantime, though, taken by Pojilya Skumbriya.
Exactly. They get one kill, but they lose a Walker for this. In the meantime, they're going to continue to push up here. They should be able to get another Walker with only one left to go on the enemy side, but both teams only having one left anyways. And the soul lead that we did have is going to be completely gone here. The walls come in as well.
Here we go.
Now on cooldown, Demov gets together, and the backside going to be coming in for Pojilya.
Here comes the guys. Big health swap coming in. Zania in deep trouble. Frozen Shelter going to use Affliction also active over this fight here. Even though Together's gone, he's still from the grave having some impact. Last stand here means you really can't stand and fight Sharik. It has to be a disengage rather from Pojilya Skumbriya. But in the meantime, Hardeki looks like they're chasing this Warden down into the distance. Yep, fully raged up and ready to go. Pojilya Skumbriya, huge fight win for them.
Fantastic fight for them to win too. The problem is there's so many of these creeps pushed into their side of the map that they really can't turn this off or into anything in terms of like the last Walker. But instead they're to head towards middle, which they should be able to secure here. You can see Wraith, played by Zergy, going to be pushing the right hand side, looking for that last Walker, but he's going to be swarmed by two players, so he should fall from this one. The question is, can they get the mid with Piggy here to try and get some information? He's actually behind them.
I don't know if they know about this. Awfully hard to steal this wall. Going to be thrown up. Piggy trying to go. Oh, Piggy steals the mid boss. Oh, that's so brutal. Rejuvenated going over to Buffy Joys and Zergy laughing all the way. Or Piggy rather laughing all the way to the bank. Yo, I'd be so mad.
I don't know how livid.
That wall obviously, like if that wall is fully maxed out, I'm not sure for Piggy yet. It applies a stun, so it gives you a window to get in there and slap that Rejuvenated for yourself. I have to confirm on whether that was how Piggy was able to do it. Otherwise, it's even more ridiculous.
I mean, he definitely had a stun go off. He definitely had the wall down, but somehow he steals it away. He should never have had any right to do so, but I think a key factor of that was the fact that he was behind them. Because obviously when you get the mid boss down to 60 HP, it lets out the roar. Teams start to come in. You kind of bait, or you have some players play on the outside to see where they're coming, so you can stop them. But he gets behind them to open things up. But we're gonna see another fight right off the back. That's on the right hand side of the map here. Everyone is closing on this one. Nice disengage comes in out of Piggy to buy some time, as you see the turret slowing them down, doing some good damage.
Yeah, that wall definitely maxed. That is ridiculous. Okay, multi-telekinesis coming up here. A lot of Pojilya Skumbriya are going to be held aloft right now, but Zania cannot hang. And again, last stand is active right now. That Warden's looking awful scary. The chase down on Hardeki had nowhere to go. Let's able to find 2 kills, and one of them being the KLS is pretty big, but there's a lot of damage left in reserve here for buff enjoyers. They've got Zergy still active. Dimov is also here. Great damage. The pressure here from the Warden is extreme. Rescue beam as well used just to make sure he's topped up and ready to go. And once again, buff enjoys. They do this every time. They find this big team fight late into the game, and they're going to look to snowball it now.
You really have to give some credit to Sharik or Shush, or as you're seeing him at the moment. The one ability out of him reduces the damage the enemies do. I think it's by like 35% if I'm not mistaken. And that can be so impactful in a team that's looking for some really quick picks, which I believe that Pojilya is looking for here. They're going to take down some base guardians. I wonder if they're going to continue to push here, because obviously they still have the Rejuvenator on 3 players. The lanes are going to be starting to push for them as well, which they're obviously to clean up the left solo lane. But you have to be careful here. You don't want to go out as Pojilya, get eliminated again, and then lose even more of your base.
That was devastating. Look at the swing of souls as a result of that fight. Looking for a pick here. Zergy's going to go for the telekinesis, but they're caught again inside a frozen shelter. It's not like they're going to get out of this. They have a Rejuvenator. It's fair. Okay. Seismic Slam going to look to come in. Good shoulder charge connection. Look at Zania already going down a half, basically straight away, but playing from the safe side of the Veil. Pojilya Skumbriya able to deal with Listic here. Mind you, Rejuvenator is active right now, so for many of these players, they're going to be back into the fray pretty quick.
Yeah, he's going to get one with the last ultimate just to throw him away here, and you can see the health bars that a Buffner is kind of low here. Pig is going to be going for the heavy barrage, looking for some damage, looking to force the disengagement, and we are going to see Zergy come back to the fight here. But I don't at Pojilya. They have to be very careful. They cannot really afford to go for another fight off the back of that, especially being down Sunset.
That's risky. They're going to give up a lot of ground here if they're not careful. They don't need to back away towards base, so they are going to play defensively here. Look at the kill difference, and yet 7 AP favors buff enjoyers now. Michaela's going to get that urn, and there's so much map control for buff enjoyers.
What? I've not seen that tech before.
Well, he has a survival buff.
Throw him.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty quick solar in right there. There's only a few heroes can do that a little bit quicker, Ivy being one of them. So he's going to be able to secure this one against more souls going to their side. And he has obviously leveled up his 3 first. He's going for his 2 second. I mean, he's got, sorry, his 3 isn't max level. It's his 2 and his 4 that are max at the moment.
Well, again, because you want, I think, the silence as well and the other effects on people that pass through that wall. It just, again, makes it impossible. If you pick someone off with the swap, they are cooked.
Oh, the buffs have been picked up by buff enjoyers. They got both on the left and the right-hand side. So we're definitely going to be looking for a fight here. And again, Piggy, as you saw, I believe, actually, it was Litz in the last game on the Dynamo, looking for some info up here. I don't know the range on those turrets, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if they can actually shoot people down there, but if anything, it still can kind of act as a ward for you.
Yeah, 25-meter in-game attack range, so actually pretty decent. Also, it gets increased when you have the second level. I think you get an extra 10 meters of attack range on it, so those turrets actually can cover quite some ground.
They're definitely looking for a pick here. You can see they're trying to play very careful. Again, they also have some, I think, timings on the enemy jungle, because when they left earlier on, after getting mid-boss and pushing the base, they were able to clean up quite a few of those, which is where they've been able to get such a massive soul lead.
Sitas here again, the recipient of most of the souls. This build looking pretty similar to what we've seen before. Is that the cold front, though? There's the one adaptation or adjustment. Zergy now getting close to 30k souls. This Wraith has to be an absolute menace. Also, like, Geist getting a lot of those resources going their way. Buff and Joy is really about to get some of their heaviest hitters online. And we're about to start to walk into some of those big T4 pickups too.
I don't really hate the return fire either. We did see picked up out of TAS. I know it's been getting quite popular, actually, because of the fact that you can just have people kind of kill themselves. It gives you health. It gives you spirit power as well. So if you're a spirit character, or a spirit hero, that really works out for you well too. I mean, they have a McGinnis and they have a Wraith. So those are already 2 heroes that you do extremely well against with that in particular.
Yeah. It also like has built-in bullet resist as well, right? So against like these heroes that like are trying to make their gun pretty powerful. What is it, like blade mail? Is that what we used to call it back in League? Like just returning that damage when you get shot.
Thorn mail.
Thorn mail. There you go.
Yeah. Oh god, that's a throwback to 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, we are still
reminding people how old we are, for God's sake.
I mean, you're younger than me at least.
Yeah, you're actually pretty decrepit, honestly. That's crazy. Barrage there thrown out just for some poke fly together. I don't think they were ever expecting to get into an engagement, but if they did, the amp would have been nice. And we're controlling mid here as Buff enjoys. 23 minutes 45 now, and that lead is pretty significant here, but Listic, tanky as he is, still doesn't want to get caught out on his own entirely. Death Slam, hard to see if there's a big purchase, big connection for that one. Shoulder charge should get this Abrams out of the way. Telekinesis is going to be used here by Zergy. They want to fight, and finally we see the Wraith get involved together, just vaporizes.
Yeah, the silence cliff coming up big. I mean, if you can't afford a curse, which is obviously a big investment, the silence works just as well. And the Pock is able to burst him down off the back of that telekinesis. Now they're on the push. They were being so respectful to Pojilya, Skumbriya, and now they're on the get-go. They're looking for more than this. There's no mid to take just yet, and they're looking for some more kills here. But you can see Pojilya immediately heading back towards base, except it looks like maybe this one player, the Lash, Zania, might be caught out.
I mean, the grenade there from the Warden is a pretty big part of the pick. There's no way Zania is getting out. As mobile as Lash is, Pojilya, Skumbriya are in deep trouble right now. They are fighting back within their own base. Buff and Joy is hitting a lot of these pretty big power spikes, but we're early enough in the game at 24 minutes that these tier 4 items aren't even really that big a part of it. But look at this. Look at how they've taken this map. That right side solo lane, a little bit concerning. That'll obviously push back towards it. But with mid-boss now available and Zania 30 seconds away, they're going to go for it.
I don't know if they're going to commit to it. With Zenia down, right? You don't have that last ultimate to throw you out of the pit. They're trying to bait them in. They want to force fights, but they don't want to be the one to necessarily like go for a head-on-head charge. They want to catch him out in a bad position, use that wall out of Piggy to his advantage. They will take down. They'll have the potential to pick their Rejuvenator. In the meantime, there's a fight on the top side, so we could see it still. They all drop down below, but they're stuck in the frozen shelter. The wall comes in, and Zergy's going to lock it down.
Yeah, make sure that they land that one. Paradoxical swap on together. That's not what you want to see from your pocket, getting caught midway through the fight. And now Pojilya, Skumbriya have to somehow slink away with their table between their legs. That was a Hail Mary for them to try and stay in the game. And in fairness, it looked a little bit close. But this is where things get a little now out of hand. Gonna see them push right on up here. And again, just those base guardians really left. In fact, those have been cleared out in those 2 mid lanes. So we're looking at the shrines here. Maybe some cleanup on the peripheral guardians.
Well, they also have buffs up, but they're going to commit for the fight here. Look for, like you said, the shrines. Looks like they're going to be able to take down that right one extremely quickly. And again, for Pojilya, you just have to respect this. You cannot afford to die right now. We're going to get so desynced from your team. They're going to lose both of them. They're going to lose the patron for sure at this point. It's just about how much will they lose? Will they be able to hold them off here? Buff Enjoyers do have to respect one thing. Xenia and his ultimate. You can be thrown back into the enemy base, into their spawning area, and that's looking like at least 1 or 2 kills if that happens. So for Buff Enjoyers, they got to stay spread, not get all clumped up here. You can see him off to the side. He's looking for it as well, trying to come in from a different angle.
But at least here we see Pojilya, Skumbriya be respected. Buff Enjoyers playing out in that first tier. But now at the patron weekend, we're going to have our last fight here. Yeah, the Lash getting pretty active. Xenia really trying to make this punishing for Buff Enjoyers, but already the patron down a half. Xenia just going to pop instantly. That was their gambit expired. Lich trying to throw down, of course, that frozen shelter to slow things up here. But a spot thrown on the pocket yet again. And Taz, who never really got to be relevant in this game. The Yamato never got it to take fights where she would succeed. And we're already looking at a 2-0 here favoring Buff Enjoyers, a 27-minute win. We talked a lot about these early advantages that Pojilya are able to take early in the game and be unable to exacerbate them, to snowball them any further. We wouldn't be surprised, Jason, to see them get ahead early. It's what happens after that.
Yeah, honestly, I think I've been pleasantly surprised by them and how well they've been able to play the early game. A lot of the matches I see Buff Enjoyers where they're winning is they just snowball from the early game. They snowball an early advantage, early kills into a pretty easy game for them. So I'm really happy to see them be able to contest that. I feel like giving them a little bit of time with the way they've been playing, work on their team fights, maybe some of the picks, they're going to be able to have better team fighting overall. But I think this is a good sign for EU at the moment. I'm really, really happy with how they've been playing.
Yeah, we want to see the region get as deep as possible with these, incentives and opportunities to compete. Nice beginner's wall there early. You can see that, the Kelvin is struggling to sort of be in the lane early, and it's far too early to pick up an extra regen to start to tick back up in terms of health. So good early pressure here from Buff Enjoyers have made that a little bit scary, and already we're going to see, okay, Xenia try potentially get involved a little further.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that wall is just so impactful. They're going to go for a catch here onto Lash. A good use of the 2, though, to create the distance, save his stamina to get away. But, I mean, you can see how low Lit still is at the moment. He needs a couple more levels before he has the healing on his 1. But honestly, I think it's just a really good understanding of, like, what they can do, what they can pressure, and what their kind of limits are in the lane at the moment up against this comp.
And we're pointing out the Xenia's cooldowns are really long at this part of the game, right? 20, 30 seconds, if not more, on the 2 and 3 here. So you only have those windows where you can sort of execute those feats of acrobatics. And this is, going to be putting a fair bit of pressure on this lane early on here. See Taz here, of course, once again, going up against a Wraith early in the game. So, of course, the Wraith can poke down with some of those cards here, but Taz is definitely keeping Zergy honest. Moving up, getting with as many of these slashes as they possibly can. Another nice little connection there, and that's something worth bearing in mind. Yamato might be closer range, but that power slash in lane is a very reasonable poke tool.
No, I like the tech, though. I need to do that when I play Yamato. Goes for the dash in and then starts charging the 1, so you kind of catch them off guard here and not really expecting you to be so close to hit with that slash. So really smart usage of that. And we're seeing some early pressure. Like, they really want to take this garden early on. They really know that we have the advantage in this lane. And Zanya and Litz, there's really not much they can do to hold on here. In the meantime, Sergey's going to get a kill onto Tasser. He dove past his own creep for that one. And that's an early start here. I mean, Buff Enjoyers, they took the first kill in the last game. They're going to do it here yet again.
Yeah, quite significant, considering that we saw Zergy getting pushed back, but Tass was taking a fair bit of damage in order to apply that pressure to the Wraith. So that's amazing to see Zergy get a good start. As someone who definitely wants to scale a little bit more into the later part of the game, every single time Xenia is appearing in that middle lane, the Warden is just pressuring them away with that alchemical flask, which, bear in mind, it reduces their weapon damage and stamina. So it's very annoying to lane against that ability. Good damage here on Dimov, though. This is going to force the Lady Guys back a little bit further in this right side dual lane.
And as you mentioned before with the flask, like, it also, like you said, the stamina reduction, it really prevents them from escaping when they have a wall separating them. In the meantime, we do see a little bit of a mirror, right? We see Buff Enjoyers able to push in the left dual lane, and they're actually on the retreat on the right dual lane. But Dimov's going to come in with the 2. He's extremely low on health. The tornado comes through.
Caught! Oh, that's brutal. He's going to be, hit by the carbine there as well. Drop down, eventually getting rid of Dimov there, but barely alive. Like 2 or 3 HP left for Sunset, and Mikhailish, you better believe, is on the chase. Turns that into a 1 versus 1. Still a fight here with the again, the haze, though, is Hideki was waiting for Mikhail to emerge from those catacombs, but they're pretty close here on health. The fixation, though, definitely going to help Haze win out in a longer exchange.
See, okay, movement is one of the most important things I would say in this game. Obviously, having a macro-oriented mindset when it comes to how the game plays out, but movement you saw right there out of Michaelis was so phenomenal. Being able to chase, be more effective with your stamina, and you can't run away from it from that person. So it's really really well used out of him as well. Here you can see the backward slide as well. I feel like people really underestimate how important it is to slide. We do see the heavy barrage coming in.
Sorry. Has looked like they're in trouble here. Yep, pick a card, any card, bro. Both of them say you're dead. Nice little moment there, and this is a good example of what happens when, you know, a big carry can start to get ahead early. Some action though here in some of these dual lanes. As we see Sunset, get run down. So that Dimov and Mikhail S lane starting to produce some results. Meanwhile, Listic actually wins out after being pushed in pretty heavily in that far left solo lane.
Yeah, just to quickly go back to the movement thing, I think people underestimate when it comes to like a one-on-one or a two-on-two duel. Reloading takes so much of your time, so much damage you can't be doing because of that. We're going to see Michaelis be caught out here, and he's going to fall. But being able to maximize your slides and your stamina to have as much unlimited ammo as you possibly can is so important early on.
You see, Zinnia really tried to get out of that dual lane as quick as possible, as they were being so heavily pressured down by the Warden, helping out with a little bit of a group up here. 3 players on that right side dual lane. Yields them the result they were looking for, but a lot of pressure here on this far left. You'll see that, and we've got Buff and Joy's pushed up very, very far after taking down the Guardians. 2 Guardians down already for Pojilya Skumbriya. And well, it goes from bad to worse. That's the 3rd they've now conceded.
Yeah, so hard to defend when you have McGinnis roaming like this. They just puts a wall up. Either you're going to die because you're locked in because they're going to dive you under the Guardian, or you get blocked out and you lose CS, and the Guardian's going to go down either way. So they had to kind of give that up. We do see a skirmish on the right-hand dual lane, though, as we can see Michaelis extremely deep in enemy territory.
Unclear if they went for a swap. They might have done so, but the rest of Buff and Joys weren't there to help out. But Buff and Joys in lane are doing much better than they did earlier on in the game. Still close enough in terms of those souls. So that deficit is nothing huge to write home about there, but maybe a bit of a misstep there from Michaelis.
Oh, Litz might be getting caught up here. He's being chased down. Gonna heal himself.
He's getting Litz up, right?
Not good.
Has to use that frozen shelter. Yeah, thank you. Suits reference for you folks. Okay, Zerg just trying to play towards that low ground now as well. Frost Grenade connecting, but look at the cards. Pressuring it down pretty well.
They thought that was
Zerg going to walk away with yet another kill. These extra souls go so far in getting Wraith into that ideal sort of endgame fantasy a little earlier.
I mean, this is the biggest lead we've seen out of a team out of the laning phase here. This is the first time Buff and Shores, I feel like, have had a lead out of the laning phase too, considering how the last game went. They were down like, 10, 15 kills just about 10 minutes in. We do see the kinetic carbine's going to land here for some early damage. The push is going to be coming out of Mirage here, played by Sunset. This is going to be on the right-hand solo lane, looking to bring something back, but his team's going to be fought out here in the middle.
Together, though, a little bit caught out. Sleep's going to be connected there. Hideki able to at least slow Michaelis down here, but things are getting a little bit out of hand for Pojilya Skumbriya. Now we're going to start seeing pressure being applied to the walkers in multiple lanes simultaneously. I don't know what Zania is supposed to be able to do here. I think this walker is gone.
Yeah, it's going to be gone here. This is what happens, though, I think, when Buff and Joris get the lead. They're one of the best teams, in my opinion, at being able to take a lead and just make it snowball even further. I'm curious. I said they're actually going to take away all the jungle they possibly can. They're still up about by 6K, and the thing is, they're skirmishing so well. Like, their team fighting is catching Pojilya Skumbriya quite off guard. We saw, like I said, Sunset pushing the solo lane while there's a fight happening towards middle. I think they're really going to take advantage of when they know they have a man advantage or they have like a positional advantage.
You can see here, they're keeping that battle line pretty far forward. The Buff enjoys. We'll see the McGinnis located. Pushed up a little bit there on that right side dual lane, and they're going to be able to return back to the safety of where Michaelis is standing. We'll have that HUD restored for you folks in due course. Everybody just working on a slight wrinkle. But Zania Release is able to get that second Guardian here for Pojilya Skumbriya. A little bit late in the day, but hey, always worth a decent amount of souls.
They also, not to mention, some control back too, allowing their lane to push a little bit deeper. As we can see, it's the left duo and the right solo lane that lost the Guardians on Buff and Joyer's side that Pojilya were able to actually push down. I think we're going to go down to a little bit of a farming phase here, and Pojilya really need to catch up in terms of souls quite a bit. I mean, they're not down like too much, but 6K, I think if we can have the possibility of seeing the ability point difference between the two teams, that's going to be more of an indicator of how the game's really going at the moment. But we do have Haze Hardeki. He's actually behind enemy lines.
Okay, well.
And dead.
Not where you want to be. Looks like that was a paradoxical swap to start that fight up, but Lit's also going down there as well. And we're seeing some serious gold being, souls rather, being built up on some of these individuals. Tariq up to 11k here. And I mean, Together is just ignoring Listic to try and get towards that turret here. Coming out of the satchel right into a bullet from the ship.
Yeah, trying to fake him out a little bit, right? He throws his two at distance, so you can either teleport to it once the satchel comes up, or he's gonna stay at the satchel, and Listic just played between the two, able to close that one out. We can see the ability points. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit dangerous. 17-point difference. Not even more than that now. We're almost looking at 20. Not to mention they have 10 kills to their advantage as well. So the Haze, as you talk about like the hyper carries, Hardeki's not that far behind Zergy. He's only like 1k souls behind him. But the problem is that they're really being strangled in terms of like jungle camps. We have to see a fight on the right-hand side happening between the two teams here, where Buff Enjoyers, I think they only have 2 members there at the moment. Sorry, 3 members there.
Well, in the middle of it, once again, Mikhail S, the one being credited with the kill. So, the Yamato attempted to line up a power slash, but that was going to be a little bit too hard. We're aware, of course, of the slight stutteriness of the return feed here, folks. We are working on it. Right now, Buff Enjoyers are now up to a 12k soul lead.
See the urn being picked up as well. As you heard Dan talk about before, there was like 3 uncontested urn turn-ins for the side of Buff Enjoyers. The moment Piggy's going to be the one carrying this one, and I actually do like if they give him the ability point to make that heal a little bit more effective. Not to mention lock down that wall, being max rank as well. And Pojilya going to be... I'm sorry, I'm butchering their name. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad. Are actually going to be looking for a little bit of a contest onto it. They have 4 players in the general vicinity. They're trying to leave Mirage, played by Sunset here, to push in on this right-hand solo lane. He's going to be caught by the Wraith ultimate. He's trying to create some distance from that. He creates a lot of distance.
Well, he breaks it.
Because he used the 2, he's actually able to get away from it completely, and he's able to ult away. This is what I kind of wanted to see, right? It baits 3 players in out of Buff Enjoyers, allowing to use that Mirage really effective.
Still close enough to be involved in the next engagement. That tornado being used at the right time gives him an invulnerability frame away from that telekinesis. In the meantime, though, things are not going well for Pojilya Skumbriya in the other part of the fight. They lost their Haze pretty early, and again, their Kelvin no longer a factor here, and they probably need to be giving up this ground. And yet, they still want to push on towards this yellow walker with numbers, as Buff Enjoyers are elsewhere, kind of doing the same thing. So a quasi-base race, but Buff Enjoyers are actually pressuring 2 walkers simultaneously, as Pojilya Skumbriya only can look for that left side solo lane.
Yeah, they tried to gank Sunset on the Mirage. She ults away, and they're like, okay, we're just going to continue to push your lanes while you're sitting there waiting to stop the soul urn from being turned in, which Piggy is still holding, just FYI. And at the moment, he's going to get a free turn-in. So they're going to get, what, 1, 2 walkers. They're not going to get the kill onto Sunset, but they're also getting the turn-in. Like, this is a massive swing, and we're going to be looking at almost a 20k soul lead for Buff Enjoyers.
And again, this is the kind of lead that, could be pretty hard to overcome for Pojilya Skumbriya. Again, use that pick potential.
Oh, no.
This is pretty bad. Yeah. Zinnia just trying to fade away from this one a little bit there. It's the frost grenade used to try and keep them topped up. Here it is, a tornado backwards for Pojilya Skumbriya. Trying to dive on in there. I appreciate that from Zinnia with the improved burst, hitting a little bit harder with those landing abilities. But they've lost the pocket. Still trying to fight here through the top of mid-boss, but Sunset just lingers a little bit too long. Dimov able to bleed them out. Zinnia looking for an off angle to set someone else up. And of course, the Shadow Transformation now popped for Taz. Can they create an opportunity with this ability? I don't think so. In fact, they look like they are trying to get the heck out of here. And eventually they'll be dragged down as well. That is a 5. that is a total team wipe. Hardeki went down first. And this is a mid-boss for Buff Enjoyers, guaranteed.
Yeah, a really strong start here. Well, strong start. I know, a really strong mid-game here out of Buff Enjoyers. I think we're seeing Hardeki go in potentially, but obviously, I don't think he's able to pull off the Piggy special with the steal. And no, he just did back away instead. So Rejuvenator, we're looking at almost getting to a 30k soul lead. This is going to be tough for Pojilya Skumbriya to come back from, to be honest.
I think it would be fun if we just purposely set it differently every time.
It's, it just comes out as it comes out.
Because at least like Maidong was kind of funny and put us in a position where we had to say this stuff. But this is just difficult. Just brutal stuff. Again, we are seeing Pojilya Skumbriya push out of their part of the map here. Looked like they were looking to take a fight against Mikhail. as they were extended pretty far. Might still look to engage there as well. Did a flying cloak as the others trying to get away, but this is dangerous. You do not want to have people looking at you and to get us in trouble. Immediately, the warden just runs him down. Sharik will not be denied at 18k souls. 7k more than the pocket, not to mention the fact that all of Buff and Joys were there to help.
You've seen the majestic leap too. I know ZP is extremely happy to see that Sharik.
Big leaper.
Able to, I definitely, man. You see the chase potential of it as well. Able to completely lock that one down as they're looking to take more here. There's only one walker separating between them and another flex spot, and they're looking to secure it. And then, of course, looking to barrel down on the base. I'm not really sure what they can do about this one. Nice flash ult that goes in, pulls on top of the walker. Stun not going to be followed up just yet.
And that's what I think Pojilya Skumbriya want to try and make use of their great death slam to yield 2 kills on pretty non-durable targets. And I don't know if the Divine Barrier is going to get you out of that fight there. Yeah, no escape from Michaelis. This is good. Now, what do we turn it into? Lanes are pushing in favor of Pojilya Skumbriya in these 2 mid lanes. And then we're hoping to find some walkers. The problem is that Sharik is stacked in terms of those souls. And there are enough players here for Buff and Joys to stave them off.
The 2 solo lanes are pushing into their base. They have to kind of rebalance the lanes.
It's a
rejuvenator. Exactly. It's making it really tough for them to ever push out and look for any objectives off the back of this. Yes, they get a couple eliminations, but that's where they're halted. And those players that they were able to pick up, guess what? They're back up alive. They're looking to group up again for their team fight. It's a really tough time here for Pojilya. Oh, I'm just, you know what? PS. We're going to ZP route. We're calling PS.
Leech now picked up here by Listic, so that is scary. A lot of life still available. Just really stacking with the rest of what that Shiv already offers kit-wise. And the base Guardian's going down at 15 minutes, folks. We're going to look to take some shrines as well. Why not? Pojilya Skumbriya trying to deny the orange here, but I think the issue of their base falling to pieces is probably a little more pertinent at this time. There's still another shrine to take, but Buff and Joys are so far ahead with a 2-player advantage and 3 players with rejuve buff that they're here to strong-arm their way in to Pojilya Skumbriya's house.
Thank you. Good to know that at least other people mess up on that name too. But we do see, like, the fact is they're down Zania now, so he can't even ult them back into their own base. The Patron's going to transform now, and they have to play with 5 players. The thing is, I don't think Buff and Joys are going to stop this. There's no reason for them to go back. They're getting picks, and I think this is going to be it. I think we're going to have the 3-0 here.
Yeah. I think so. We're seeing all of this from Sharik's sort of perspective here, and there's not a whole lot they have to do except just lean into this with the rest of Buff and Joys. And now the weakened Patron, they're ready to go for it. See plenty of those healing turrets being thrown down by the McGinnis to give them the sustained here on this extended campaign of wanton destruction. As Pojilya Skumbriya are going to be bowing out of our first Deadlock fight night. That's $1,000 to Buff and Joys.